This video was sponsored by Bokksu. Hello everyone, welcome back to another Mecha Model Kit review. Today we're taking a look at the Gundam Base Limited RX-0 Unicorn Gundam Destroy Mode version TWC lighting model. That's quite the mouthful, but let's get right into it. So I'd like to start off this video by saying I did not get this kit from Galactic Toys. I actually had it sent to me from Japan by a friend of mine, Kro-sama. He also does Gunpla reviews on YouTube, so make sure to check him out as well. However, as always, if you're looking to get yourself some awesome mecha model kits or hobby supplies, check out Galactic Toys' website with the link that'll be down in the description. Also, I'd like to quickly mention I am moved into my new place, or at least working on moving in, and the studio setup is still very much a work in progress. I haven't yet fully figured out my lighting setup or stuff going on with my camera and microphone, so I'm currently working through a small handful of technical difficulties. So if the lighting in this video looks a little worse than usual, or if the audio has some hiccups, please bear with me for the time being. So this is the real grade Unicorn. I'm just going to call it that for the sake of brevity for the rest of the review. I'm not saying that whole long name every time I need to bring it up. But this is what it will look like fresh out of the box, snapped together, no panel lining. However, as you can see, I did take the time to put all of the decals on there. And of course, as we've come to expect from the real grade Unicorn at this point, it does look very good. Now this kit is actually very interesting for a couple of reasons. Now it may seem very similar to the normal real grade Unicorn on the surface, but it actually has a couple of interesting things going on under the hood. The first thing we can notice visually is that the Psycho frame comes in this milky white clear, and that's because this has a full LED inner frame inside, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think that Bandai's ever done this before in a 1/144th scale kit. And of course down here we have the base, which houses the batteries for the LEDs and the on-off and mode select switch. We'll take a closer look at that later though. Another thing to note is that this kit is in a completely fixed position. You really can't move this guy around at all. I mean, the arms wiggle a little, but there's no articulation here. I mean, the hands are on a ball joint, and the skirts can move up and down a little, but that's about it. Now the reason for that is twofold. One reason being that it does have that LED structure in it, which would probably limit some mobility anyway, and wouldn't allow for the transformation gimmick to be placed inside. And also because this kit is meant to be a replica of the Gundam Base 1:1 scale Unicorn statue in Odaiba, Japan. So the way you build this kit, the exact pose that he ends up in, this is the same pose that the statue in Japan is in, so it looks the same. Now I did pay about $80 for this kit, which may seem like a hefty price to put on a real grade, but you gotta think this is a Gundam Base exclusive, and it comes with full LEDs, and Bandai LEDs, as we've come to expect, are a little bit overpriced. But all things considered, I don't think it's a terrible price to pay, considering the original retail price for this kit was 10,000 yen. And I guess it's cheaper overall to just get a pocket-sized version of the Unicorn statue than making a whole trip to Japan to see the real thing. And not to even mention all the COVID restrictions, it's kinda difficult to get a taste of Japan these days. But thankfully, today's video sponsors got you covered in that department because Bokksu specializes in bringing a taste of Japan right to your door. They're a premium Japanese snack box subscription service that delivers original assortments of Japanese snacks and tea pairing. And they're also the only Japanese snack box service that partners with over 100-year-old family snack makers to deliver Japan-exclusive snacks to you. The boxes are all shipped each month straight from Japan with free shipping to the US, and each month you'll receive a box with a different theme, so you'll always be getting something new to try. They sent me the Seasons of Japan box, which is a great well-rounded assortment of delicious Japanese snacks that taste even better than they look. Honestly, the presentation of the whole thing is just really nice, and I may or may not have eaten a couple of these before filming because I just couldn't help myself. You even get a little booklet that serves as a cultural guide that tells you about each snack that comes in each box, and a little map of Japan showing you where each individual snack is from. The white strawberry is probably my favorite thing I've tried so far, and I'm also drinking a glass of the Ashigara green tea right now. I also really like the handmade yuzu sake candy, but let's be real here, I just like that because it has alcohol in it. So if you're interested in getting some delicious Japanese snacks, don't just take my word for it, check them out for yourself. There will be a link in the description, and you can use my code Gundam10 to save 10% off up to $47 off your own authentic Japanese snack subscription from Bokksu. Don't miss out on this delicious snack journey through Japan. Thank you to them again for being today's video sponsor, and let's get right back to the review. So back to the kit, we all know that the Unicorn is a decently large, or at least a decently tall mobile suit, so it tends to stand a head and shoulders above the competition. Having this base here also helps to add a little bit of height, so let's get a size comparison in there right now. Now this kit stands at about 8 inches tall, I want to say, if you count the tip of that V-fin right there. And here's the real grade Unicorn compared to the premium Bandai high grade GO5, a can of soda, a Masato figure, Misato figure, and the Master Grade RX-78-2 3.0. So as we can see, the real grade Unicorn with the lighting model is pretty tall. It is about the size of a Master Grade Gundam, or at least a Master Grade RX-78-2. Like I said, that base that holds the battery box inside of it, it does help to add a decent bit of height. Now, in terms of the build, I haven't built the normal real grade retail release Unicorn Gundam. However, I can easily tell just from building this one alone that this has a very unique and different building experience from that kit. You trade off the complex inner frame with the transformation gimmick for a lower part count, simpler inner frame made of only a few parts per limb. It's kind of like a static skeleton with hollow channels throughout it to make room for the LEDs that go inside. Aside from the internals though, the armor on the outside is visually identical. There really isn't anything else interesting going on here in terms of visual difference. Aside of course from that deactivated Psycho frame, which I mentioned earlier, that does look really good. I actually wish Bandai would kind of release a standard release version of the Unicorn that has this color. Now, as far as accessories for this kit go, well, you get absolutely nothing. Fuck you. You do, however, get a bunch of leftover parts, both from just the regular Unicorn build and just from some extra runners that are used in duplicate to create the two-toned color scheme between the white and the gray. I think the most unused parts per runner comes on the G runner. We really only clip a couple of these parts out here. The rest of these is used for the inner frame, and we can see some hands here as well. From the original Unicorn Gundam, of course, none of that is used on this kit. Now, I guess if you want to be technical, yeah, I guess you could count these little beam saber handles as accessories, but these are really just going to stay on the kit the whole time. I don't even think he can really hold them, nor does it come with beam saber effect parts anyways. Now really quick, let's take a look at the LED function of this kit, which is pretty obviously the main selling point of this thing. I mean, why else would you pay $80 for a real grade? Now, the battery compartment is accessed by pulling this little front drawer out here, and this little thing in here takes 3 AAA batteries, so this should last a decently long time. Slide that back in like that. And right here we have the power switch, so if you flip this on, you can see that when we flick the light switch on, it goes into the first lighting mode, which is changing from red to green. It'll pulsate a little bit as red, and then after about 10 seconds or so, it switches back to green, and then it should go back to red in a cycle. Press this circular button right here, and it changes it into the second lighting mode. This one just pulsates red, and it stays that way as long as it's turned on. And if we press it one more time, you can see that it lights up green. Now, these LEDs do look really fantastic. They look even better in person. On camera, the lights are quite blown out and they look like there's a ton of light bleed, but I can promise you that's not the case in person. It's really more a matter of the lighting in the room and my camera really not capturing the LEDs well. It kind of really blows them way out of proportion. Now, the LEDs are done by having 1 or 2 major LEDs in each limb or section of the body, and then the rest is just carried by light piping. Now, the light piping works pretty well for the most part. I've noticed in person this little front of the crotch area here does seem to be a little bit weak. It looks okay on camera, but it is noticeably a little duller than the rest of the area. I think the most egregious example of the LED light piping kind of failing, I guess, would be on the backpack. As you can see, there is a clear inner frame in here, very clearly made for light piping. However, there is barely any light shining through here at all. Now, I've taken a look at this for myself. I thought maybe I built it wrong. I reread the instructions and everything, took the backpack off and tried to reseat it. It really just does not look like it was engineered properly. As you can see, we do have this light shining through right here, but looking at the backpack right here, the part that plugs in is a solid piece of plastic, so the light doesn't really get a good chance to actually shine through to that clear plastic. Now, that is a bit of a bummer, but thankfully, you know, it's on the back, so unless you have this on a constantly rotating display base, you're not really gonna see it. On the front, it looks completely fine. As for my overall thoughts on the kit, it's okay. It's not a bad kit by any means, but it's not exactly great. I mean, the price point is a bit egregious. As usual, a Bandai kit containing LEDs, especially a full LED inner frame, has jacked the price up quite a lot, and the fact that it's a Gundam Base exclusive adds to that a little bit, I would imagine. I can't really recommend this as a kit for just anyone to go seek out to try to buy. It is a very cool display piece, don't get me wrong, but you can easily just get your hands on the normal real grade Unicorn, and minus the LEDs, you're basically getting the same thing, except you can actually pose that one and it comes with a shield and weapons. However, I do think that this still works really well as an exclusive piece. I think this is more so what exclusive releases should be geared towards, so I'm not mad about it at all. Again, that 10,000 yen price point is going to be a bit excessive for the average consumer, and since this was a Gundam Base limited release, unless they reprint this kit, chances are trying to find this kit on the secondhand market is going to run the price up way more. If you're a fan of the Unicorn Gundam, the Unicorn Unicorn statue. If you can find this one for a good price, definitely go for it. But I guess to me, at least in my opinion, there's nothing here that really warrants paying over that already pretty large retail price point. And again, don't get me wrong, not a bad kit at all. It was actually a really enjoyable build. I just don't personally see it being worth the price for most people. Again, thank you so much to my buddy Crow-sama for sending this over. Thank you to Galactic Toys as always for being a sponsor of this channel, and most importantly, thank you to Bokksu for sponsoring this video and sending me a snack box. Also, of course, thank you to all the wonderful people who continue to support me over on Patreon. If you want to become a Patreon supporter and help keep the channel running longer, you can find a link down to my page down in the video description. Anyways, that's gonna just about do it for the review of the real grade Gundam Base Limited RX-0 Unicorn Gundam Destroy Mode version TWC lighting model. And also sorry about the delay from the last video to this one. I was in the process of moving into a new house, but now that I'm basically settled in, there should be more videos coming out somewhat consistently. Again, I can't make any promises because this isn't my full-time job. I am working a different full-time job and life shit happens, so you never really know what's gonna come up and what's gonna interfere with my video making, but hey, I try my best for you guys. And most importantly, if you made it to the end of the video, thank you for watching all of this. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time.
I wish that I could turn back.